Hey guys, I've been receiving requests to do a radio project, and it just so happens I'm waiting on some parts to arrive in the mail, so I present you with a Friday night restoration. This radio was given to me a while back by an online friend who also gave me an Admiral 3812 I did a restoration series on. I wasn't expecting this, he just included it with the stuff that was dropped off, and I figured, hey, it was high time I take a look at it. It is a General Electric All-American 5 type radio. I've already gone online and printed out some service info. I think we can find the exact model number on the back. I'm going to put this dial glass aside for safekeeping. It's in pretty good shape. There's a few nicks to the paint on it, like the side of the 0 here on the 3, and the 6 is in really bad shape. It's really tough to clean this dial glass, and it's painted on both sides, the whitish color on the back and black on the front, so this would have been exposed to the elements, and if you try cleaning this, as careful as you might be, the numbers tend to get worn off, and this is dirty on both sides. There might be reproductions available, perhaps on plastic, I'm not sure, but for the time being, just be careful with the original. Then we're going to be pulling the chassis, so I'm just going to go ahead and take these knobs off, which remind me a lot of Dumont knobs. Dumont TV knobs. Alright, it does have the original back, and no model number. Nor is there a label on the bottom. But just going by the pictures here, I think we can see it's a Model 200. Except the grill looks a little different in that picture, so perhaps it's a 203 or a 205. If I have any other reference pictures. Well, maybe we can find out some more info inside. Alright, so let's pop this thing open. Oh, looks like there's some felt on here, and I can hear something rattling around inside. Hopefully that's not a sign of trouble. Little felt things that go on these control shafts to you believe either keep dust from getting into the controls or to prevent the knobs from rubbing against the cabinet. We've got some 1/4 inch screws on the bottom, and looks like the back is held in by some clips. Let's see if maybe get lucky and these are, yes, fairly loose. I can already tell I like these a lot better than the clips that Philco used on their hippos, like the 46420. Alright, oh, and that has a built-in antenna. Already been disconnected. It would have gone to these. I'll have to figure out how to get that back. And unlike my other GE radio I've already started a while back, this antenna is secured to the back, so I won't have to deal with that. To the insides. Oh, no label on the back of that or on the insides. Well, by the time I post this video, I'll figure out what the exact model number is. Looks awfully clean inside, which is fantastic. A little dusty, but I don't see any signs of corrosion, and we've got all the tubes. Speaker looks alright. Already been disconnected. I think some work may have been done to this. The guy who gave it to me, I don't remember him telling me anything about what work had been done to it. Almost rattling around inside. Clip. Perhaps this is for the dial glass. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I got 2 clips and 2 pieces of material or rubber insulation. I probably want to get on the other side of the glass, and then these clips held it in. Alright, got a hang on to those. There's one big dial lamp. It's like a Christmas tree bulb in there. Used to those little like number 47 bulbs. And I can see that some work has indeed been done because I see a Sprague atom installed. And wow, I've never seen a Sprague atom like that. I don't think I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, could that be original? Jeez. I think it's much too new, but it's got 3 terminals on it. I've never seen one like that. So I'm inclined to think it's good. It's a very neat job installing it. Nice insulated leads and all. I can certainly test it. 2 times 30 microfarad at 150 volts. Otherwise, boy, these might be replacements too, but they're pretty old. That for sure is an ancient paper cap. These probably are too. And, these look, they probably could be modern replacements. These Aerovox. And that for sure looks goofy there. Strangely spliced in. 0.01 microfarad, 1962 date code. So maybe this is, and this looks like a 71 date code, so this might have been recapped in the early 70s. No idea if it works or not. So there's a clipped out lead there. Makes me a little suspicious. So what I propose to do is put this cabinet aside, is to go through the whole thing, verify that all the components are wired in correctly. I'm going to test that guy out. I'd kind of like to leave it in just because it does a nice, neat looking job in there. Although I'm not crazy about this wire rubbing against the metal cabinet because I don't think it should be going to the cabinet. Now it goes over to this tube. It's probably a floating ground used in this set. So the chassis actually isn't hot, it's just floating. Yeah, they call it the B- bus. It just runs throughout the set. And yeah, it's common too. So the original had 50s and this is only a 30. Well that makes me less inclined to keep it then. But for now I'm going to leave it in there. Because it saves me having to dig to recap it. Or replace that. Because I imagine it's good enough to try powering this thing up. Once I replace the other guys. My biggest concern at this point is what some of these clipped wires would have gone to. There's one here. There's one here. So hopefully that will become clearer as I go through this. That's the output transformer, leads to go to the speaker. We got tube line up. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's not an All-American 5. I shouldn't have called it that. I guess I'd call it an All-American 6. So we got 35 Z5 rectifier, 12 SG7 RF amp. That's what you'd be missing on a more classic All-American 5. You wouldn't have an RF amp up front, so this should have some better sensitivity. And then we got an oscillator converter, 12 SA7, IF amp, 12 SK7, 12 SQ7 detector and first audio amp, and 35 L6 power output tube. Alright, cool. Be nice if I had a photo showing the original parts placement, but fairly simple radio. I think I can muddle my way through it. So which schematic to go off of? Well, they look to be pretty darn identical, so it probably doesn't matter too much. So go with one that's easier to read. This guy. So I'm going to start at the power supply end and work my way through it. Right off the bat, I want to check out this guy. It goes right across the power line. It should be a safety cap. Let's see what is actually in here across that AC line, if anything. Okay, you can see it's been spliced in. This power switch, other side of it, going there. Alright, this guy appears to be right across the AC line, and it is not a safety cap. 0.05 spring right there. Yep, the original was 0.05, so that's going to go. So, do I have any safety caps of the right value on hand? Probably not. I've got a bunch of these 0.01 ceramics. Or these 0.1s. 103, now these are 0.01. I think that's the biggest I got. 0.022, 0.015, much more than 0.01s. I'm inclined to leave it out for now, or maybe just throw in one of these 0.01s. Yeah, I'll go with 0.01. It's not that critical. The radio would work without it being there at all. Just to get sort of some noise on the AC line. Okay, the recapping is complete. No surprises. I guess you could call this a recapping. It sure looks like somebody recapped it in the 70s, and I'm doing it in 2015, and hey, maybe in 50 years or so, somebody will be doing it again. I like to think so. Now, one thing I was wondering about were those clipped leads. There was one here, and there was one from the ground, I do believe it was. Well, I happened to do a little searching online for info about this radio, and I found an interesting thread on the Antique Radio Forum where somebody else noted the same clipped leads. One of those is the grid on the oscillator converter, and the other is ground. Well, the thinking was that that was actually from the time this radio was assembled, and that they attached wires to it. They're on the assembly line so they could do the alignment, and once they were done, they just clipped them off. And hey, that works for me, because those wires did look like they were pretty old. And if you had them and I had them, and I think a few others chimed in that had them as well, hey, that seems to make sense. Alright, so how about we try a power up? One of the antenna leads, clips, connector things, was broken, and what I ended up doing was taking an old CRT socket and busting it apart to salvage one of these guys. See right here, which is a perfect fit for the antenna. Now, how do we connect the antenna? Well, let's see. Put the radio like this, and position this like so. Alright, well, got 3 wires, and looks to be 4 connections off of the antenna board. One of them is the antenna, we can ignore that. Let's go into the 470 ohm resistor right there. Right there. One of them is ground going to this capacitor. Well, that would be this guy, so that's an easy one to eliminate. And I know that this one is ground, so that must go to the lead on that cap. It's not going to anything. And then we have 2 others. They go to opposite ends of that coil. And I don't think it matters which goes where. They both go to opposite sides of the tuning cap. And notice that the tuning cap isn't grounded. One side's going right to the RF amplifier, and the other side goes to the AVC bus. So, I guess with having this dial string, there really isn't a hand effect issue. It's one reason why you'd want to ground this frame, is if you had, say, a knob attached right to it, and you bring your hand near this, you could affect things. But I guess it's positioned such that that's really not an issue, so I'll go with that. So let's see, lead lengths, basically the same, so that's no clue there. So I'm just going to put this one down here, and this one up here. Again, this radio is partially disassembled when I got it, so I don't have any reference photos or anything from when it was in one piece. Which brings me to another issue, which is dial glass. I was taking a look inside the cabinet, trying to figure out how dial glass goes in, and I'm stumped for the time being. We've got 3 ribs here, which corresponds to marks on dial glass, so that all makes sense. So we've got 2 marks here and 1 here, no doubt from some kind of cushioning material or whatever clip held it in. So drops down in like so. Alright, well, in and amongst the parts that came with this radio, as near as I can remember, I found these. Well, there's only 2 clips and 2 pieces of rubber. And the pieces of rubber are larger than the marks on here. But they do fit around, so yeah, maybe those are right. Maybe 2 just got lost. However, then there are the clips. I can't figure out for the life of me how these would work. My original thinking was that these little gripper teeth in here would push down onto the ribs and bite into it and push down on the glass. However, when I tried doing that, they're too small. I would have to just gouge the hell out of that Bakelite and probably break it off to try to mush this down. And there were no marks on these before I put some on there. There's no way that this was down on here. It won't slide on, it won't push on. So between these not seeming to fit on there anyhow, and I've only got 2, and this rubber doesn't seem to match up with the marks on here, I'm concluding that these are not the right clips. Could not find any info online about what the clips how they might have worked, or what they might have looked like. So, if anybody has any idea, please let me know. Oh, and I also found that there are reproductions available from, I think, Radio Days. So if I really wanted to, I could get a reproduction. But I don't really go with this for now. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll take some cloth tape and stuff here and wrap a little around each edge for cushioning, and figure out something. Maybe just hot glue something on, just to kind of hold it in place for now. Alright, but getting ahead of myself. Now let's get that speaker out so we can try firing this radio up. Wires are not long enough to do it with the radio in, with the speaker in the cabinet. So I already started taking it out. A couple more nuts here to go. Let's see all these washers. Also cleaned up the cabinet. I used Novus number 2 polish. You can still see there's some in the nooks and crannies. This is a tedious radio to clean. I used toothpicks, scraps of wood, whatever I could find that would fit into these grooves. If you find something that's the right size, it sure helps. This is just balsa wood. The most effective thing I found. So it's a lot of work, but it is a nice looking cabinet, I think, once you get it cleaned up. And this is in really good condition except for 2 areas. One, we got a scuff here. A lot of fingerprints too, it's just me touching it since I polished it. And there's a crack here, hairline crack. And when I polished it, some of the compound got in there that made it look even worse. Not a whole lot you can do about that, other than I can clean out buffing compound so it's not so obvious, and shoot some super glue in there and push it together as tight as I can, Then maybe take some shoe polish or something to try to darken it up if it's still visible. And that'll be that. Super glue will keep it, hopefully the crack from getting any worse. And hopefully it won't be too visible. Alright. Now back to the power-up test. Let's get the speaker hooked up. Keep it down. Let's decrease the chance of me poking a hole in it. And let's get this voltmeter out. And put this on its side. I'm going to clip it in so I can check the B+. So it powers up. This radio is kind of nice to work on because it's stable. Both when I recapped it, I just had to turn it upside down, and it's stable on its side. So, nice. Alright, so remember the chassis is not ground, so we need to find a point in here that is ground, common, which is here. And for positive, well, if you look on the schematic, there's one point where they show some voltage. Between the 18 ohm and 1K, they show plus 125. So let's get the voltmeter at that point. Easy enough to find. It's where that flexible 18 ohm resistor ties into the 1K resistor. Right there. Alright. And although it's not a hot chassis, it is transformerless, so there is some shock hazard. So I'm going to plug this into a Suncor PR57 combination isolation transformer and variac. And I'll dial it into about 117. Let's see, let me grab these knobs. Look at the dial string on this is in very good shape, because I do not enjoy it. Alright, without further ado, let's give this a try. I got the variac turned on, dialed into 117. I got it set into current mode on the meter so I can see on my variac meter how much current it draws, and we can check on this for the B+. Uses the tube for the rectifier, so we have to wait for that tube to warm up before we're going to see any significant B+. And here we go. Current draw jumped up to about ½ amp and then quickly dropped down to ¼ amp. Seems reasonable. Dial pilot light is glowing brightly. B+ shooting up, 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 up. 2. 120.4, I'll take it. It's close to 125. And we're still only drawing about ¼ amp. And I hear something coming out of the radio.
Projections based on not only equation what's happened in the past to predict the future.
And it sounds really good. I was hoping this would be a quick and easy project, since it had been recapped previously.
Maybe another brand. When you go make photocopies, you may use.
And keep in mind that the speaker's pointing straight down into a towel, so it's not going to sound as good as it would in the cabinet. Cool. I like it when they're easy. So, what do we want to do next? Well, how about an alignment? Looks pretty simple. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 coils to peak at 455, and they show where to feed a signal in. 455, and 12 SK7 grid and the 12 SA7 grid in series with a 0.05 microfarad cap. Alright, well, I will turn on RF generator. Give that a try. Alright, here is my RF generator. I saved up my money not too long ago and splurged on an HP 8657 synthesized RF generator. Very, very nice thing to have. Can do both AM and FM modulation. I got it set for AM, 1 kilohertz, 80% modulation. I don't really know what percent modulation is appropriate, but we'll go with 80% because that's where it was set from the last time I used it. Alright, and frequency should be 455 kilohertz. And minus 70 dB sounds like a reasonable. Well, no, let's go even lower. Amplitude, let's go something like, oops, minus 100 dB. And we need to feed it in first to the grid of the 12SK7, which is the odd man out. It's this guy right here. I say that because the rest are in the line. That's the one that's next to the tune cap. And which makes sense. You want to tune or align the one closest to the speaker first, and then work your way back towards the antenna. So grid, that'd be pin 4. 12SK7, pin 4. Okay, RF generator on 1.5 megahertz, and I had to increase the power level quite a bit to get it to come through the radio through that little capacitor. Acting as a dummy antenna. Right there. Now I want to tweak. Screw here. And screw here. Kind of tough to get at.
Prezydenta naszego, no to tam jest tym bardziej syćko będzie, ale wiesz co ci powiem, trzeba by też może naszym obowiązkiem wytłumaczyć słuchaczom, co są spoza regionu Podhala, tak zwani cepry, co to były te struzyny, bo to cały czas badajcie struzyny i...
I suspect that's the oscillator trimmer because it's changing the station I'm tuned to, and I tweak it. Yeah, the other guy. Next up, I'm going to see if I can get that dial glass mounted in the cabinet. I'll put this thing back together. Now notice the volume pot's a little noisy, but it's sealed. I don't see any easy way to shoot some cleaner in there. If it was really bad, what I could do is disconnect all the wires from this, pull the control out, pry up some tabs and pop it open and get some cleaner in there, but I can live with it the way it is. Well, here's my naive pass at mounting the dial glass. So I took that fabric tape, wrapped some around either side, and then I dug up some balsa wood and fabricated this little part. So cut out a section that will fit over the glass, and then cut out a channel to fit down into that rib. The idea is to mush it down, and see how that goes. I don't expect it to hold on just by friction like that, although it seems to be working. It's not down all the way. And then I'll shoot a little glue on it, and not something like epoxy. I'll use just some maybe Eileen's tacky glue or something that would be reversible that I could pop off later. But I'm not going to be kicking this radio around or anything. It's just going to go right on a shelf, or maybe at my workshop for a while. I like to rotate my radios. I've been using this 3810 bullet for quite a while, so maybe it's time to rotate another radio up there. So it's not going to get jostled too much. So just as long as this is somewhat secure, I think I'll be fine. And finally, here it is all back together. It's a pretty sharp looking radio, I think. Still need to clean out down in all these crevices. Save that for a rainy day, but otherwise I'm happy with the way this turned out. And yeah, there's a crack here in the bakelite, but what can you do? Hey, I was given the radio after all. There, See the dial glass finally, and the pointer. Alright, so let's fire this up. It's funny, we get that big bulb back there, and I can see it kicking the light out the back, but there's actually not a whole lot of light that comes through the front. I guess it's supposed to reflect down from up above. Let's see if it still works. Sure it does.
Bring Dad to the ballpark. Don't even let him know it. Have a picture taken.
Attacks hockey from a different perspective.
Dial pointer's off a little bit. That's something I'll have to go through and tweak.
The game is changing. The game is learning.
This is AM 720, and it's turning
guys like us
around.
who sit on the couch and
I'm
yell
not sure
shoot
what
during the
those
power
ticks
play.
are, but it looks like it's above 750.
What that means is that the producers had to pay a location fee to the Chicago White Sox or to the Illinois Sports.
820, I think.
It's an economic growth policy. That's why
That's 870. So yeah, we're off a little bit.
I'll tell you in a minute.
That's probably when I tweaked that oscillator trimmer. I probably would have been better off not touching that tuning capacitor at all.
Last name is spelled
We're here to win, and that's what we take the field every game.
But that's alright. Heck, usually I don't even look at the dial. I just tune it by ear.
Treat depression, create energy, induce sleep, relieve stress.
So that's going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed this look at restoring a GE 202 radio from the late 40s. And if any of you have any thoughts about securing a dial glass, please let me know.
Radio Disney, is it?
Listen to my ass.